Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Have you ever heard of Mediaite? Well, you probably have, and if you know anything about it, it's a very left-wing news source or news aggregator that spends most of its time going after Tucker Carlson or promoting pieces and labeling pieces in very disingenuous manner to try and attack Republicans. I guess let's just keep it simple, it's a very left-wing source of news. Well, what does that tell you when Mediaite is even reporting and willing to be at least semi-honest in calling out Joe Biden or the Biden administration in their disgraceful, indefensible, incompetent track record when it comes to the border and specifically border policies? Well, it tells you exactly that Joe Biden is in fact indefensible on the issue of the border. Because if Mediaite isn't on your side and is willing to publish these kinds of pieces, well then clearly you're doing something wrong. You guys gotta see these moments from the White House press corps. Starting off with, I believe it's John Kirby and then Karine Jean-Pierre, both who take issue when confronted with basic friggin' facts. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright friends, well isn't it beautiful when things come back to haunt you? During the Donald Trump years, Democrats tried to paint this picture that he was this evil man abusing immigrants, and that they were the compassionate ones. Well, let's just say activist groups are telling a different story, and in a very rare and incredible event, a mainstream journalist actually challenged Biden spokespeople on this exact issue. Mediaite reports, watch, Biden officials bristle when New York Times reporter says they're worse than Trump on migrant treatment.
Just following up on the border, I spent a long time covering immigration stuff during the Trump years. I never saw more damning quotes from immigration advocacy groups and human rights groups during the Trump years as I saw yesterday towards this administration. Just reading one to you, Eleanor Acer, who's one of the leading advocacy people, heads up a refugee group, called what the president did yesterday a humanitarian disgrace. And that was echoed across the board in literally scores of emails I got from every humanitarian group. What does the administration say to the overwhelming consensus from people who advocate on behalf of asylum seekers and refugees and migrants that what the president did yesterday was a humanitarian disgrace?
Well, obviously we take a different view.
Oh, well, there you go, folks. Fake news debunked by John Kirby. We hold a different view. Okay, buddy, you hold a different view. Therefore, great argument. That's almost delusional, as these fat activists on TikTok. Being extremely obese and overweight is unhealthy and not aesthetically pleasing. You should probably do something about it. We hold a different view. Great job. Right-wing bigots BTFO'd. Completely ridiculous. This New York Times reporter hits the nail right on the head. That everyone can see what is going on at the southern border. Joe Biden's approval rating on immigration is below 40%. It's been in the 30s forever. And it's not just right-wing border advocates that are condemning Biden's actions. Now we're even seeing left-wing refugee advocates, asylum advocates, joining on, and southern border Democrats who have been condemning Joe Biden for 2 years straight. John Kirby then goes on to claim that Biden is focused on legal immigration, reforms to the legal immigration system. Then why the hell does he continue to enable this illegal immigration cartel racket? Biden's spokespeople looking like a deer caught in the headlights. We hold a different view. Illegal immigration. Complete clowns. But don't worry, folks, Karine Jean-Pierre came to save the day. I don't know which clip is cringier. You can decide for yourself.
I want to address something that was asked about, that you, Michael, had asked about the lack of support that we have received. Look, I have, we've heard from mayors across the country as well who have supported the president's announcement yesterday. And so, for example, Mayor Todd Gloria, San Diego, California, the president's measures will help expedite legal pathways for orderly migration and increase funding to nonprofits doing life-saving work in our communities. That matters. Mayor of San Antonio, Texas, in lieu, and this is Texas, in lieu of much-needed congressional policy, as I've stated, which is so important, and he tweeted this, the president new action humanely addresses the influx of asylum seekers entering the U.S. Eric Adams, as Mayor Adams, who has been critical, right, of us, said it's an important positive step. And so, and I have a few more. The Denver mayor, the Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser, and also Mayor Lightfoot.
She starts off by listing a bunch of Democrat mayors that are praising Joe Biden. You know, like Eric Adams, Mayor Bowser, Lori Lightfoot, a San Diego mayor. Literally no one on the southern border. Just a bunch of partisan Democrats have patted Joe Biden on the back. Therefore, what a complete doofus. But please, carry on, Madame Karine Jean-Pierre, genius at the podium.
That puts this president who spent so much time on the campaign trail talking about how how he wanted to be different than Donald Trump when it came to immigration issues. I mean, it just puts you guys in a really awkward place, doesn't it?
I have to say, Michael, I understand what you're saying, but I do take I do take issue with comparing us to Donald Trump.
Well, listen, little Karine Jean-Pierre, you can take whatever issue you want being compared to Donald Trump. The reality is, actually, you're kind of right. We can't compare you guys, the Biden administration, to Donald Trump. It's a very unfair comparison because you have been an absolute, undeniable, unmitigated disaster on the border, and Donald Trump had a pretty stellar track record on keeping the border safe. Like usual, the current Democrat narrative is built on a mountain of lies, a mountain of we take issue, we see differently, our facts are different than your facts. But the facts are the facts, regardless of whether or not you take issue or you want to deny them. You suck on the southern border. Very simply. And speaking of a mountain of lies, Joe Biden's official POTUS Twitter account just tweeted, "Our problems at the border didn't arise overnight, and they won't be solved overnight. But we can come together to fix this broken system. We can secure the border and fix the immigration process to be orderly, fair, safe, and humane." Our problems at the border didn't arise overnight. Yes, they did, you absolute buffoon. They arrived overnight the moment you signed all of those executive orders undoing Donald Trump's border policies. It's nothing but lies. It's nothing but a friggin' mirage. And speaking of that mirage, Joe Biden goes to visit El Paso. This is the reality of El Paso. A bunch of homeless, illegal migrants camping on the streets. That was before Joe Biden's announcement that he was visiting the area. Then after Joe Biden announces that he's visiting, then all of a sudden, just like magic, the streets are cleaned up. The whole thing's a damn photo op. Even local ABC 7 News is reporting on it.
Of course, this area had a lot of police presence. We've been reporting in the past couple of weeks of police coming here. They've been arresting people for maybe paraphernalia. They had access to marijuana, those types of arrests. We spoke to one woman. We asked her, have people been cleaning this area in preparation for President Biden's visit? One woman did tell us that, yes, she has seen city officials or city employees out here cleaning the area in preparation to President Biden's visit.
The powers that be, the puppet masters, cleaning up El Paso to make the issue seem not as bad as it is, as they send their puppet Sleepy Joe to visit and walk around the streets, and he's gonna be walking around. "Oh, would you look at that, corn pop? Everyone keeps saying that this is a humanitarian crisis out here. It looks pretty clean and orderly to me." What a joke. This man is gone. He's too far gone. He's a clueless fool that's merely being used for a photo op to help carefully craft the Democrat narrative. I mean, the guy's brain doesn't even work. Here's Joe Biden meeting with Salvation Army in El Paso, talking to some Salvation Army organizer, where he says this.
And here we have the Salvation Army, who also
He spent some time with Secret Service in Poland. What does that have to do with anything? Is that even true? I just don't get any of what's going on right now. You know, hiding everything in the closet. Your room is a mess, take all of your clothes and shove it all in the closet before your mom walks in the room. To make it seem as if you cleaned your room, that's essentially what they're doing in El Paso. Joe Biden's then talking about solving the immigration crisis with an app. I'm honestly not so sure that the 2.5 million illegal migrants that were apprehended last year or last fiscal year all have fancy, expensive smartphones with data plans in the App Store where they can just download the app and declare their refugee status. Not exactly sure what problem that solves, and not exactly sure what meeting with Salvation Army and talking about spending time with the Secret Service in Poland really means, or what that accomplishes, what that does. Joe Biden's just a freaking empty vessel walking around shaking hands with people, pretending like he's doing something. It's a complete disgrace. What Democrats ought to do is listen to Republicans. Recently, Texas Governor Greg Abbott met with Joe Biden, handed him a letter calling his photo op border visit $20 billion too little and 2 years too late. And that is exactly correct. Joe Biden sending over $100 billion to Ukraine. Meanwhile, $20 billion would have pretty much solved the border crisis, as well as not fighting to remove Donald Trump's Remain in Mexico policy. Now we're learning that the Biden administration spent $324 million in taxpayer funds on illegal immigrants' dental and health care at holding facilities. How about spending that money on building a wall? How about stop promising free things to illegal migrants and a path towards citizenship which does not exist? How about actually enforce the laws and send people back? Of course not. Instead, what we get is Joe Biden shaking people's hands, talking about his time with the Secret Service in Poland, and a bunch of copium, a bunch of lies, a bunch of ridiculous nonsense from Karine Jean-Pierre and Jonathan Kirby when confronted with the facts. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.